I would like to share with you one of my favorite books. It's a newer one. It's called Leo, a Ghost Story, and it is by Mac Barnett, and the illustrations, which are quite lovely, are by Christian Robbins. Leo, a Ghost Story. Do you see? Well, you might not really see because he is a ghost. This is Leo, and most people cannot see him. But you can. Leo is a ghost. For many years, Leo lived by himself in a house at the edge of the city. He read books and he drew pictures in the dust. One day in spring, a family moved in. And Leo was glad to have company. On the family's first night, he made them mint tea and honey toast, and Leo thought he was being a good host. But the family just saw that floating tea set and they hid in the bathroom and they locked the door. "This house is haunted," said the man. "Gary, I'm scared," said the woman. "I hate tea," said the boy, "and I hate ghosts." They didn't know that Leo was floating right above them while they were in the tub, and he heard everything that they said. The family called in a scientist, clergyman, and a psychic to get rid of the ghost, but they could have saved their money because Leo knew he wasn't wanted, and so he said goodbye to his home and he left. You know, I've been a house ghost all of my life, thought Leo. Maybe I would like to be a roaming ghost for a while. And so Leo roamed. Leo saw the city and the people who lived there, and nobody saw Leo. The city was not like Leo remembered it. Some places were wonderful, and some places were scary, but every place was noisy. Leo went to a street corner where his favorite candy store used to be. Now nothing was there. "Excuse me," he asked a police officer, "do you know where?" But the officer, she walked right through him. She didn't see him either. Well, there was an afternoon when Leo found himself roaming along a sidewalk that was covered in drawings. He came across a girl holding chalk in her hand. The girl looked up and stared right at Leo. "Hi, I'm Jane," she said. "What's your name?" It was so strange to be looked at that at first Leo said nothing. Finally, "I'm Leo." "Leo, hey, do you want to play Knights of the Round Table?" "Yes." "Good. First you have to get knighted by the king." "Who's the king?" "I am. That's why I'm wearing this crown." Leo didn't see a crown on her head, but he kneeled down and he was knighted right on the spot. Leo and Jane then sat at a table. "Sir Leo," said Jane, "meet Sir Ruffs, a loyal dog. Don't you think he looks handsome in his armor?" "Yes." And he bowed at an empty chair. "Sir Leo, this is Sir Muse, a loyal cat. And don't you find his whiskers wise looking?" "I do," Leo said and bowed again. "And finally," said Jane, "this is Sir Squawks." Leo interrupted. "A loyal bird." Jane frowned. "No, Sir Squawks is a giant hamster." "Oh," said Leo. "Well, I'm not wearing my glasses." Jane squinted at the chair. "I guess," she said. "Jane," a woman's voice came from another room. "Tell your imaginary friends goodbye and come down to dinner." "Fine," said Jane. She turned to Leo. "My mom doesn't think imaginary friends are worthwhile, but you know what? I think you're great." And with that, she stood up and went to the kitchen. Leo felt awful. She thinks I'm imaginary, and if I tell her I'm a ghost, I will scare her away. After dinner, Jane returned to her room and gave Leo a sword. They snuck into a cave. They slew a dragon. They stole all of his loot. And when Leo closed his eyes, he could almost see the gold coins and green scales. And after a glorious feast, it was time for bed. Jane gave Leo a pillow and a sheet. "Don't tell Sir Ruffs," she said, "but you're my best imaginary friend." "Yes," said Leo. He was so happy he couldn't sleep. Leo went into the living room so that he wouldn't wake Jane with all of his rustling. All night he lay on the floor designing his coat of arms. What's going on here? See that? Well, Leo then was awake when he heard a sneak thief climbing through the window. "Halt!" cried Leo, but the thief passed through him on his way to the silverware. Later, Leo would not be able to say where the idea came from. He threw the bedsheet over himself, and he flew at the thief, who was so frightened to see the sheet flying through the air that he dropped all the salad forks. Leo chased the man into a closet, then slammed the door shut and locked him inside. It was all very well done. The sound of the door slamming woke Jane, who called the police and roused her mother. A squad car came and hauled the man off to jail. And that was that. "Thanks," said Jane. "You're welcome," said Leo. "I'm glad I could help." "But Leo," said Jane, "if you're my imaginary friend, how did you scare that robber?" Leo looked down at the carpet. "Jane, I guess I told you a lie. I'm a ghost. I said I was your imaginary friend, but I'm not. I'm just your real friend." "Oh," said Jane, "well, that's even better." And they went to the kitchen to have mint tea and honey toast at midnight. And that is Leo, a ghost story.
Well, now, that sure was a sweet, silly story. Well, that was what I would call, what I would call that tender. I like that word. That was a tender story. I liked a lot of things about that story. One of the things I liked the best was that, Leo, he was lonely, and he was trying to make some friends. He tried to make friends at the beginning there with that family. They'd never seen anything like that before. Well, he was a ghost, so they couldn't see him at all. But they'd never had an experience like that, and so they just, freaked out. And Leo, he just went on his way. And I guess he kind of figured he would always be just kind of roaming around all on his own. But then there was that little girl Jane, and she just had a big old open mind and a big old open heart. She was able to see Leo, and they got to talking and they got to playing. And she thought he was imaginary, remember? And then he was a little bit afraid again about what she would think when she found out that he wasn't imaginary, that he was really a ghost. Well, the neatest thing was whenever he finally told her, when he finally said, "You know what? No, I'm actually a ghost." I bet he was afraid. I bet he was afraid that she was going to say, "A ghost! Ah!" Maybe like that family did. But she didn't. She already knew she loved him. She already knew they were friends. And when he told her that, "No, I'm not an imaginary friend, I'm a ghost," she said, "Oh, good. And she loved him for the way that he was. And I thought that was pretty neat. That was one of those don't judge a book by its cover kind of stories in a way. Just loving somebody for who they are deep down inside. Yep, just accepting somebody just the way they are. God accepts you just the way you are. God loves you just the way you are. That's the way it is. God made you. God loves you. And I do too. Bye.